Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined by Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler for this Packers-Dolphins game preview. If you're enjoying the content, please remember to hit that like button, leave a comment, hit the subscribe button as well. We're on the way to 20,000 is our new goal, subscribers. Although I guess every single one for us is awesome to get at this point. So if you're enjoying,
we're not going to be getting a whole lot of subscribers if Jack dressed up like that.
Well, Jack's mad. Jack's mad that the fans.
I bet these guys are flying in with these hate comments.
We're ridiculing him after the.
These people are flying in, throwing rib shots to me in here in these comments. So you know what? I'm on the Dolphins this week.
So this show has lost its only Packers fan.
Yeah, the show has lost its only Packers fan.
I'll probably be back in the Packers a couple weeks, but I need some time to
heal
a little bit. Yeah, and I was insulted by these comments.
Jack just sends text today. He just goes, "I truly don't know what I said to piss everyone off." And you just look at the comments like this bozo with the glasses needs to figure it out.
Although I embrace it though, any comment's a good comment. I do enjoy reading them, but
so
fins up.
The Thanksgiving slate is pretty sloppy this week, guys. Bears-Lions, a little potential there. Maybe if Caleb shows up. The Giants-Cowboys.
Last week and murdered you guys.
Giants-Cowboys, I will not be watching really a second of. I'll probably have a movie on some point. Maybe Wizard of Oz. And then I'd like to go see Wicked, actually. So maybe I'll watch The Wizard of Oz, try and catch up. But then Jordan Love and the 8-3 Packers take on Tua Tagovailoa and the surging 5-6 Miami Dolphins. Usually you wouldn't say surging about a 5-6 team, but given the Dolphins,
they were 2-6, right?
2-6, yeah. And so 3 wins in a row here, 29 points per game over the last 5 since Tua's return. Defense has been really good the last 3 weeks. They find themselves 1 game behind Denver in the loss column for the AFC 7 seed. On the other hand, the Packers are coming off their most dominant performance of the year, the 38-10 win over the 49ers without Brock Purdy. Jordan Love has looked a lot better coming out of the bye week over the past 2 weeks. Defense has had 2 solid games in a row. And this is really the time where if you're a Packer fan, you want them to put their foot on the gas pedal and get going heading into December. Detroit's 10-1, Minnesota's 9-2. If you want any hope in the division, you have to win this game at home on Thanksgiving night. So it's important for both teams. Let's start with Miami. Clearly, Jack is repping his Dolphins gear today here. If you're listening on audio, Jack is in a Jalen Waddle jersey, one of producer Zach's Jalen Waddle jerseys. And it's an opportunity for the Dolphins to rewrite many narratives about the Dolphins, one of which is cold weather games. In games 40 degrees and under, Tua Tagovailoa, you know his record, Jack?
0-7.
0-7.
But you know what?
By the way,
likes to change narratives.
By the way, I think we're in for a special Jack Weinberger episode today. A special episode, Ziggy.
He was locked in on that.
I walked down here and he goes, who are you talking about when we walked in here?
You'll see.
Yeah, well, I walked in here and he starts naming Dolphins players. Like, how the hell do you know he exists?
He'll be the MVP.
I know. He goes, I know everything about the Dolphins.
He'll be the MVP of the thing on Thursday night.
So Tua Tagovailoa, 0-7 in games, 40 degrees and under. You see the big game Dolphins just tend to make mistakes when it matters most. And it happens to you, Ziggy. You might be making the sleep sign with your hands here, but I'm telling you, it happens time and time again. Producer Zach knows it better than anyone. So why don't we start with this, Jack? You're clearly picking Miami in this game. What is the main reasoning behind that other than you being jaded?
You also look quite nice today, Paul.
Thank you. I'm thinking about shaving this before.
And Ziggy, you do too. You look
he always looks good.
You look quite astonishing. That haircut just looks flat out incredible. I'm going to rip this Tito shooter in a minute. So first things first, I kind of came across a little cap-like situation with the Dolphins a couple days ago, where I was in 7-Eleven before work, and I saw this beautiful girl, like blonde hair, wearing a Tua Tagovailoa jersey. I'm like,
really?
I'm like, you would fins up? She's like, yeah, of course. She's from Miami, went to the U, ended up getting her number. So I'm like, yeah, the Dolphins has to be the pick. We have a date scheduled for next week. So
Dolphins fans are good people too.
They are great people. So anyway, here's the thing. Fins up. I think Miami wins this game comfortably over the Green Bay Packers. Man, oh man, Jair banged up, probably not going to play, right? And there is no team that is worse to have injuries in the secondary against than this Miami Dolphins team with Tua Tagovailoa back, Tyreek Hill, Jaden Waddle. That beast Jonnu Smith, too, he's slept on as well. This team has weapons galore. They have speed. Jair's banged up. It's asking a lot for these safeties and McKinney and Evan Williams to stop these Miami Dolphins receivers. Tua said, I like to change narratives. I like to buck trends. There's a first for everything.
Well, he hasn't done it yet.
There's a first for everything, and this is going to be the week that he does it. The Dolphins, since Tua's return, 8 touchdowns, 1 pick, looking flat out unbelievable.
Yeah, the last 3 games.
29 points a game, high flying offense. Tua's in the locker room saying, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, I got my swagger back." Green Bay's banged up in that secondary. Dolphins, top 10 rush defense in football. I think Josh Jacobs gets slowed down. I think my boy Storm Duck, the Dolphins' number 2 cornerback, picks off Jordan Love a couple times. Love's been shaky. I think Miami turns him over. Tua all day to Tyreek Hill, all day to Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Waddle.
That's why I said Jalen Waddle.
That is what he said.
I thought he was saying Jaden Waddle.
Devin A. Chain out of the backfield. This Dolphins team is explosive. They're back. Green Bay's banged up in the secondary.
How many times you gonna say Green Bay's banged up in the secondary?
And I got the Dolphins going into Green Bay, Tua bucking that nonsense cold weather trend and winning this football game. Look, and this defense is alive too. 4 sacks this week against Drake May. This team was up 31-0. The Packers don't know what's about to hit them on Thanksgiving.
What do you think?
When the Dolphins come swimming up to the northern part of the country and take down the Green Bay Packers.
What do you think of this?
One of the things that's really interesting about the Dolphins and sort of the new Tua Tagovailoa since he's come back is last year when the offense was so good, it was largely driven, not entirely, but a huge part of it was the running game, right? I mean, you had Achane out of the backfield, as Jack said, busting off these huge runs. Their last 4 games where the Dolphins have looked good, that hasn't been the situation at all. Against the Patriots, leading rusher, Achane, 32 yards. Against the Rams, leading rusher, Achane, 37 yards. He had I think 65 or maybe 70 against the Raiders and another maybe 60 against the Bills. So this hasn't been the Dolphins busting off 40, 50, 60-yard runs like they were last time. It's all been on Tua. And honestly, from where I'm sitting, if you're going into a cold weather game, you need that run game more than anything else. You just can't put Tua back there when if it's snowy, if it's icy, have Tyreek Hill run 50 yards and have Tua launch him a bomb. Tua can throw those passes, but in those conditions, it's going to be very difficult. And what's the strength of the Packers defense? It's their run defense. I know there was a lot going wrong for San Francisco last week, but to hold Christian McCaffrey down the way they did, he had 12 rushes for 30 yards. The Packers' run defense has been very good this season. You saw it against the Bears. They were able to limit DeAndre Swift. And of course, with the Bears, if you limit DeAndre Swift, you limit the whole offense. So I've been pleased with the Packers' run defense. On the other hand, the Packers, they're not a one-dimensional offense. Josh Jacobs can take over a game. Jordan Love, we haven't seen it tons this season, but we know he can take over a game. They've got 1 million receiving weapons. The Dolphins, the only guy I trust in short situations is Jonnu Smith. And do you really trust Jonnu Smith game on the line in Lambeau?
Yeah,
on the other hand, game on
short yardage situation. Did you say short?
On the Dolphins.
Yeah, so John,
you need to gain 5 or 6 yards.
Jonnu Smith is who you're going to. I mean, I know he's
who else are you going to? Waddle, Tyreek? No.
Yeah, you're going to Tyreek.
Jonnu Smith has been their short yardage threat all year. On the other hand of the Packers, assuming he plays, you got Romeo Doubs. You got there's so many weapons.
Assuming he
on that Packers offense.
What? Yes, we're gonna sit here.
He's gonna play. He's resting.
We're gonna sit here and talk Green Bay's weapons. The Dolphins have 10 times better weapons.
I think that the Packers are better situated for this game in particular. So I'm going with the Packers.
Okay, yeah. I respect both of your guys' arguments for each team here.
No, you just called us morons.
Yeah, I said, what kind of shit's going on here? Ziggy's assuming Romeo Doubs plays. It's all right. A lot of assumptions, a lot of.
Do you want relax? Take a shooter. You want one?
No, I'm
okay. It's Thanksgiving break here.
I think you're right, Ziggy, that the Dolphins rushing attack has not been that good.
It's top 10 in the league. Dolphins running it.
I mean, but lately it really 4.1 yards per rush this season. The offensive line has not been very good. They're average at best for both pass blocking and run blocking.
They had no points last week.
Yeah, to the Patriots. I think that, look, I root for the Dolphins after the Vikings. I've been very vocal about that before. I think Miami is finding their rhythm at a good time. It's too bad they had the Tua injury. Too bad they lost a few of the games earlier in the season because they'd be in a nice spot given the way that Tua has performed lately. But I said it after the Buffalo game week 2. And Miami got blown out in that game. That's when Tua got hurt. But even before Tua went down, I said I can't pick them in these situations, these night games, these big games anymore because every single time it's the same exact script. And I don't think they're going to go into Green Bay and get blown out. It won't be embarrassing, but the conditions are snowy. Like snow is in the forecast for Thursday night. Some light snow, 26 degrees. And Ziggy said it. The Packer run defense is good. Tua, I don't trust him in this situation. With the game's on the line, I think he's more likely to throw an interception than go down the field and win the game. In Green Bay, I think that they are also starting to figure it out on offense. So we could point to all the numbers that the Dolphins have had against the Patriots and against the Rams, but I think Green Bay is in a position here where they're playing good football. They're at home. They're in their environment. I like them more.
If you're a Packers fan, here's all you need to know. Based on the conditions, the Dolphins' run game is going to be important, right? You know who the run game coordinator for the Miami Dolphins is? Joe Barry. The very same Joe Barry that almost cost them everything last season. Joe Barry does not know how to win in Lambeau. It's that simple. We saw it with the Packers last year. Joe Barry, he's going to be the guy to save the Dolphins going to Green Bay. I know Jack's going to say it's a revenge angle, but come on.
Well, so what I'm hearing is this is the Joe Barry revenge game. Well, that's what came into my ears right there.
You know what? Another thing though about the Dolphins is I think to get to the playoffs. Jack actually filled out the playoff predictor last night after the show. Ziggy,
that's right. I meant to clean that up.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I filled out the playoff predictor after the show. Like seriously, what I thought was going to happen, and I had the Dolphins as the 17.
Yeah, so Jack has the Dolphins actually in the playoffs.
Yesterday I said Denver at the end of the show, but I do have Miami in there at the 7th seed according to my playoff predictor.
Given the way I see the schedule playing out, I think the Dolphins have to get to 10 wins in order to make the playoffs. If they're at 9, the tiebreakers, I don't believe most of them will fall their way, though I could be wrong on that. So to get to 10 wins, you have 6 left here. At the Packers, you got the Jets twice. You host San Francisco. You go to the Texans in Cleveland. You need to be 5-1. So there's not really room for error dropping this game to Green Bay when you still have a couple formidable matchups left. You do have a Dolphins team with their backs against the wall. And I think of any time for this game to be happening right now is a good one, given that where the Dolphins have been all over the map this season. I just keep going back to, I think this is the time of year where Green Bay will start to take the jump, and Miami has beaten up on bad teams, but we really haven't seen them beat a good team this year. They played well against Buffalo and Arizona, but they lost both those games. And I think you'll probably see the same thing where it'll be a battle and Green Bay pulls away late.
I mean, this team went into Buffalo and hung with Josh Allen.
Yeah, impressive.
Buffalo, to me, is heads and shoulders better than Green Bay.
I don't think they're heads and shoulders.
I don't think that this Packers team right now with a soft cornerback room can stop Miami.
That's where I think the best argument for Miami is.
Forget about the conditions, missions, collisions.
Conditions have mattered.
It's not like it's 5 degrees in a blizzard. It's 30 degrees with some little bit of snow. Like big deal. He's a pro. He can deal with it.
Clearly he can. He's 0-7 in games under 40.
But you have Waddle and Hill. This is a whole lot to ask for these two safeties and Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams to stop this Miami Dolphins offense.
But if there were any pair of safeties in the entire NFL that could rise to the challenge, it would be these two.
And I don't think they do.
So on top of that, though, there are a couple, like Edrin Cooper is also banged up from what I saw.
It would be Minka.
Packers have quite a few. Oh, Minka. Packers have a few injuries on defense. And if you look at their losses this season, they've played 4 top 10 offenses in yards per game this year. And they're 1-3 in those games.
And the one win is the freaking Niners.
The one win is the Niners.
We're full of backups.
So you got the Niners. You lost to the Vikings. You lost to the Eagles. And who's the other one? And you lost to, what's the other one here? for
Detroit.
Green Bay. Detroit. Yeah, Detroit.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think they can stop Miami.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, and I can't wait for it too. I think it's gonna be a great game, but I'm going Green Bay, so you're clearly going
Also,
Miami.
talk about like the conditions, right? Jordan Love has been a turnover machine up until last week.
Yeah,
you talk about this snow and cold weather. I think Jalen Ramsey and Storm Duck picked that ball off a couple times. I think the Dolphins win the turnover battle this week against Green Bay. I think those receivers are flying open all day. I think they go in there and beat them pretty good. I'm dead serious, yeah.
I don't see it. I see Tua throwing a couple interceptions. Packers defense is aggressive. They generate a lot of turnovers. I need to see it before I believe it with Tua in these cold games. And frankly, like that's just where I come down on, and I can't budge on it, even if he's been playing well.
There's going to be Dolphins spotted in Lake Erie in a couple of days.
Yeah, wait a minute. Look, I'd love to see the Dolphins win. No one here would like to see the Dolphins beat the Packers more on Thursday than they. It'd be great.
The Dolphins are going to win.
It would be great. So I got the Packers. Jack with the Dolphins. Ziggy, you are sticking with the Packers.
I'm sticking with the Packers. I don't trust Joe Barry.
Yeah, I love the reasonings here for these games. Joe Barry for you, 7-Eleven girl for you.
Did I mention the Packers were banged up secondary?
Oh, no, you didn't.
I didn't.
Okay, so there you have it. 2 for the Packers, 1 for the Dolphins in this one. If Green Bay wins, they move to 9-3 on the season. Wouldn't it be fun if the Bears found a way to upset Detroit earlier on in the day? And all of a sudden, the meaning that this would take on for the Packers and the meaning that the Vikings-Cardinals would take on for Minnesota, where these two teams have sort of felt like they're settling into a wild card race for the 5 and 6 seeds, where if Detroit slips up here, I think it becomes much more fun in the NFC North because people are just writing that off to Detroit. They're what were they minus 700, or the Vikings were plus 700 to win the NFC North yesterday. Like, I want this to become a real race, and I think it is, but most people don't. So we'll see what happens. All right, we have a full Week 13 preview, a Thanksgiving preview that is out right now, so you could go check that out, and we'll see you later this week.